So, how do we know anything, especially truths such as religious truths? I believe you have to follow your intuition. You can't just read a book. Uh, I have, as far as being a Christian, I do not take the Bible literally word for word. Uh, I don't think that that's appropriate because of what I explained with the telephone game. It's just never it's never going to be a clear one to one kind of like thing. Um, it's important to be skeptical, and it's important. I feel like everybody should be agnostic in some sense, but it's almost like the word agnosticism. It's like there's some sort of meaning there that doesn't actually mean agnosticism. It's like, because how can anybody be sure? That's what really bothers me. How could anybody be sure? Uh, until the last moment, how can anybody be sure? I believe that there should be bars without alcohol or gathering places for um, the for people who want to gather but without alcohol. The problem is, where do you go other than a bar if you don't want to drink? Well, your choices are very limited in a public setting. So I feel like there should be places that people gather but do not have alcohol, like bar like places. I mean, they could have the jukebox, they could have a pool table, they could have, they could allow dogs, they could, fortunately, besides alcohol, another problem with the bars is they very, very much these days don't allow dogs. And that's very much a problem. Uh, and I feel like dogs should be allowed almost like everywhere. Uh, and I really seem to remember. Uh, Now, this is actually post 9/11, but if my memory serves me, I've been on a couple of aeroplanes. And I feel like, am I dreaming or tripping or what? I feel like there were some flights, in addition to turbulence, there were some flights with a lot of dogs and a lot of large dogs. What do you think, Luke? Were there a lot of dog? Well, Luke has. Have you ever been on a plane, Luke? Ever been on a plane? Okay. Uh, so I feel like all dogs should be able to get on an aeroplane. What do you think, Luke? Should big dogs be able to get on an aeroplane? Yeah, all dogs should be able to get on an aeroplane. Uh, but that doesn't bring into the point of bars without alcohol. You could have bars without alcohol. You could have places that people gather and you don't have to serve alcohol, like an alcohol free bar. Now, I'm not talking about necessarily a coffee shop. I'm talking about a bar, like a bar style places. Like the style of a coffee shop and a bar are very, very different. So we need alcohol free bars. And they could even if you wanted to, you could even serve something like O'Doul's there, like an alcohol-free drink. Now, I don't know why I wrote this, but number 4 is just turn yourself in. I don't know what I was thinking. I at the time, I think I was thinking something else other than actually driving to the sheriff's station right now. I forget what I meant. I meant something else. But going back one, conservatorship is slavery. And slavery was outlawed by the 13th Amendment. I've already read the 13th Amendment. But I believe we should abolish conservatorship. It's if you're an adult, you should be able to have control and license over your affairs, over your dealings, and the license I'm talking about is not like your driver license. I'm talking about a personal license, like your own inward license to do stuff. Um, I believe in aliens. I feel like aliens are real, but I don't really care that much about them. So I believe in them, but it's like, they're there, but who cares? It's almost like my character Ringo. Um, he's kind of a cookie cutter green alien, but he has his own very unique personality. But usually everybody's not surprised that he's there. He's just there and he's just an alien. Now, if too many of them, we've got to find out why they're coming to our planet Earth and what their agenda is. Because it's okay that they exist and it's okay that they're around us, but what is their agenda? I mean, what do they want to, like, do they want to control us in some way? And if they want to control us in some way, then we've got to create some sort of a barrier or like an impenetrable wall around the earth. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about a wall like the Great Wall of China. I'm talking about I might even be talking about, to be honest with you, a sign like stop coming or something like that. Uh, I am getting very, very skeptical. So my belief in aliens has gone up, but I'm getting very, very skeptical about evolution. So that's what's gone down. The more I think about it, I don't know. Maybe it takes living alone with your dog in the woods for 3.5 years. But there's something like, I kind of like look around and I'm like, there ain't no way there was anything like evolution. Uh, like I have a problem with if a new species is now I get confused what is a genotype and phenotype, so bear with me. But if a new species arises, if there's a different like chromosome, I think it is, or if you add or detract a chromosome or whatever, well, no, that's not it. It's something like the DNA or something, but there becomes a point when you're like, okay, that's a different species. Well, I feel like that species would be sterile to the species that its lineages came from if they tried to mate. So that's my problem with evolution. And also, with the whole time disturbance thing, I'm feeling like, is it, can we even really say when the earth was created? Now, 6.4 billion years and 5,000 years, that's quite a discrepancy. It's like, it's like if I were to say, oh, I'm going to do something within the next 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years, or 3 seconds. I mean, that would be like the time thing. I mean, how can we really know? Now they do the half carbon dating with the half life. But I don't have any carbon dating that says anything different. It's just I feel like the Earth isn't quite 6 billion years old. I don't know. I'm just looking outside. I mean, what do you think? Is the Earth that old? But regardless of that, I, I even if the Earth really, because there's like the old Earth creationism, even if the Earth is really 6 billion years old, I feel like I really feel like there's something just not right with evolution, and it takes not doing a whole hell of a lot for 3.5 years to figure that out. Now, eventually, if you're walking along a dark desert highway or you're in the woods, eventually you'll see something up above, like a spaceship or something. It it also another thing was some of those things up above might be weather balloons, but it doesn't make sense that they're all weather balloons. Now, I believe that the town hall, there used to be something called the town hall in San Bernardino when it was called Yermo prior to 2006. And then it was burned down during the Yermo atrocity. There was something called the town hall, and it had like a T, it had like a yellow T, like that, and then it's either a lowercase or an uppercase H right below it. And it was called the town hall. You could see it coming down from the mountain. And you could see, oh, there's the town hall. And you could go there, and you didn't have to be from Yerm or Yermo. You didn't have to be there. You could be from Baldwin Park. You could be from Baldwin Park. You could be from. No, I don't know. I'd have to test if Ringo could have the floor. You either hold or yield the floor. If you hold the floor, you speak. But the thing is, other people like there's an implicit requirement, and then they drew out, as I wrote in my Substacks, they drew out, engraved, and even did some graffiti on the wall, the 7 rules. And you could talk, like if you were from Baldwin Park, you could talk about your issues there, like perhaps some truckers keep plowing through your land. You could talk about that. But there was an implicit requirement that nobody do anything about it. Now, did anything get done? Well, I think a lot got done in Yermo. In Yermo, compared to San Bernardino, there was more broken glass because of the liberal attitudes towards alcohol. There was more broken glass than there is in San Bernardino today. There, but there was less trash overall, and and there were fewer homeless people. And let's see what else. If there were rules and regulations that were kind of like outside of the area, like for instance at the Yermo Adult Day Healthcare Center, they wouldn't follow it like they do today in San Bernardino, or like they pretend to do it today in San Bernardino. So Yermo was the most anarchist place ever in the history of the United States. These United States. When the government of San Bernardino came in, and I'm going to write in the next day or two or three or next week or whenever, San Bublio on Substack. When the government came out of nowhere, that government is still, in some sense, the government of Yermo, which means it's almost like a zero with the line going across. It's almost like there's nothing there. Now, is that good government or bad government? It might be very good government, because when there's nothing there, what they do is they follow you around. And they become almost like a Jedi Council, and if you were to meet Ringo and ask like how's politics back home, he'd probably say, "Well, I don't know. I've spent a lot of time here in the high desert." And then you have to say you're on the mountain, Ringo. But anyways, what was I saying? The government that came into San Bernardino government, and then later on San Bernardino County government, that is still kind of a null government in some sense. But the thing that they have is a representative body. But what they don't have is a floor that you can hold the floor. But you say hold, I'm holding, or what are you doing? You're holding or yielding the floor? I'm holding the floor, I'm talking, and then I yield at the end. Okay, I yield. I've talked about the truckers, I'm yielding. So what we don't have is a form, but what we have is representative government. I put that in air quotes because it's not really specific for here in a general sense, because there is corruption and politics everywhere in every country ever. But I'm talking about the zero with the line going across in the center. That means that it's kind of a masquerade. San Bernardino City and County, it's a masquerade. It's a false government. It really still is the town hall, as we could see as I could see when I went to the San Bernardino County Board of Supervisors. It really felt like the town hall, especially when they tranced me at the beginning. And then the lady explained how at least 80,000 people died in the middle of the night on Chinese New Year, and both sides do it, but you, meaning I guess the Bernadites, did it more. And I was just laughing like an idiot because of the trance state. When I was untranced, I saw the vote 4-0, seceding from California. I saw Who I assumed was an Alex Jones listener, ranting and raving about the vaccines and how we need secession because we need to kind of get out of California's liberal grip. And he was a young Hispanic guy. And then I tried to follow him when he left, and he ran out, and I ran after him. Now, number 7, apologize for. Apologize for. That, I don't remember exactly what I meant when I wrote it, but I want to apologize for anybody I have hurt while drinking. I also want to apologize to, and I didn't write to, anybody I've hurt while I'm drinking. I want to condemn the Oregon push to recriminalize drugs. I think it was drugs. That's a victimless crime. And what you're going to have is more people in jail being abused, perhaps sexual abuse, due to drugs, due to possession and use of drugs. Now, if we want to criminalize drugs, let's start with Zoloft, Prozac, Ambien, all that kind of crap. Let's start with what we really should criminalize if we want to criminalize drugs. But yet what they want to criminalize is things like LSD and psilocybin, and I think mushrooms. I think so. If we want to criminalize anything, it should be things like SSRIs, things like psychotropics, things like honestly, even caffeine. Sometimes as libertarian as I am deep in my soul, sometimes I feel like, man, I need these anti-caffeine laws so I won't pop open a caffeinated beverage. I've winged back on them, but sometimes I like the way it sounds when you like pop one of those NOS bottles, like pop. I'm trying, but the majority of the majority of days in September, I don't think I had caffeine. I don't think so. The majority of days, and it's been almost 6 months since I had an alcoholic beverage. But I still miss, in a social sense, going to the bar and being like, hey, I'm here, and then just sitting down. There's something really missed there. And Luke, every time we pass by the Bear Claw, he just wants to go in. Now, what Oregon really should do, if they want to criminalize, if they want to like end something, what they might want to look at is their end of life policy, and they might want to backtrack from euthanasia if they want to backtrack from anything. If Trump loses, it will be complete and utter catastrophic hell for the Republican Party. So, for us, it will be like a redux of the past 4 years, with a little bit of hope if Kamala Harris were to win, because maybe she might say something about Yermo, since she has in the past. But if Trump loses, people like Dick Cheney might come back into the party if Trump loses, like the Bushites, that neoconservative bomb Iran foreign policy nightmarish bullshit. That might return. So it is, I think the country could survive. I don't like this rhetoric like the country's not going to survive or this might be our last election or whatever. The country will survive. The Republican Party won't if Trump loses, and definitely for sure if Trump loses in 2028, the Republican, if it's not Trump, and if Trump loses, he really shouldn't run again. I mean, it's kind of like now or never. But if Trump loses, and let's say, oh man, let's say it's DeSantis. DeSantis is the nominee in 2028, and because Trump lost this year. Let's say that happens. I'm not trying to pin this directly on DeSantis, but in one way or another, the neoconservative foreign policy would return. So we really don't want that. Dear Lord Jesus, I pray for the soul of the LGBT individual who died last year. Amen. Peace.